Happy Election Day! Today is November 3rd, 2020, and America has a huge decision on its hands. No matter who wins, I believe there is something more sinister in the works. Don't believe me? Well, let me tell you a story. This is Expose. Welcome to Expose, the series with stories worth sharing. I'm your host, Gazda. And if you're new to this series, this is where we dive twice per month into topics such as culture, news, politics, and more. So if you're new to this series, I highly recommend that you subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell to never miss an upload. Now, let's dive into why I believe America may be facing a civil war after this election. For us to understand where we are going and what may be yet to come after this presidential election between Donald J. Trump and Joseph R. Biden, we must understand that people are in a lot of aspects cyclical and repetitive. As such, looking back often allows us to look ahead. History tends to repeat itself, as they say. Today, we are not faced with red versus blue. We are faced with the division of belief of how life should be lived and operated in America. We had an America ripe with strife and intolerance. It was April 12th, 1861 through May 13th, 1865. This was the time of the Civil War in America, and it may be the key to understanding if after this presidential election, we may be on our way to another one. Classism is as old as time. However, something today is different. The classist divide is wider than it's ever been and more outspoken and in our faces. There is a belief on how America should move forward. Similarly, this was also rumbling in the press and communities back in the 19th century. Jason Phillips, author of Looming Civil War, How 19th-Century Americans Imagined the Future, writes, "While some Americans imagined a civil war sparked by a competition for the frontier, others envisioned a sectional conflict between rival classes and economies. Radicals in both regions imagined an unavoidable battle between free labor and slavery. Anxious financial observers forecasted a clash between northern and southern labor systems. Senator William Seward prophesied an irrepressible conflict between opposing and enduring forces that meant the United States must and will, sooner or later, become either entirely a slaveholding nation or entirely a free labor nation." If you pay attention, you can see an eerily similar desire in today's America. Michael J. Boskin points out the hotly contested debates that led to the formation and creation of a new ideology under NAFTA's inception. A move towards more free trade was incepted. Now we have the USMCA Act that replaced NAFTA, but the results are still the same. A move towards open and free trade by some, until one point both political parties, just in different amounts, as the previous Republican Party did support trade, with now a wider opposition against it by others. Donald Trump's platform, after all, has been putting America first and first in all aspects of trade agreements. It is straight out of a populist playbook. A wide dichotomy such as this is similar in a two-sect belief system that existed between the North and South in the 19th century when debating if labor systems should include slavery or not. So why does populism matter? Populism creates an other. This other is usually defined as an enemy against the masses. The other can be anyone or anything, but usually is a powerful force or powerful set of people from which the people can thrust their blame and grievances upon, desiring retribution. Francisco Panizza, author of Populism and the Mirror of Democracy, describes it succinctly as thus: "Populism is thus a mode of identification available to any political actor operating in a discursive field in which the notion of the sovereignty of the people and its inevitable corollary, the conflict between the powerful and the powerless, are core elements of its political imaginary." Does this sound familiar to anyone who has been watching any amount of television the last 4 years? Or am I taking crazy pills?
men and women of the United States are forgotten no more. You're the great people. You're the great people.
Populism grinds a blade of autonomy within it. This idea of taking power back from the elites, restoring what was taken from you by those too powerful to stop. Populism usually includes a strongman figure. In our case, that would be Donald Trump, that will fight the establishment on your behalf. Let's explore with a little bit more history this idea of autonomy. Christopher Clausen writes that autonomy and racial oppression were not on paper tied hand in hand to the reasoning of secession by the South. Yes, slavery did make the divide unable to reach a brokerage, but at hand was an idea that secessionists believed their actions prime, just, and traditional. It was a preemptive strike against the counter-revolution they saw the Republicans were creating. Looking at today's climate, the similarities are eerie. This stopped being a fight for red and blue, left or right, on policies, but has morphed and continues to morph on how life should be lived. It's a value-based society we have entered into. How should one person live? What is the right or wrong way of living is what is on America's table. Now let's look at the end of civil war so we can potentially see our future. If we are to explain what we may be encountering very soon, it again helps to look to the past to see how civil wars were ultimately resolved and a normative state of acceptance of difference was reached. Viewing history's lens in this regard enables us to envision how America can move forward together again. Caroline Hartswell gives a few examples in her piece, Stabilizing the Peace After Civil War, an investigation of some key variables. Two strong factors she purports is the failure to include an outgroup or minority group within the country's leadership/administration to help quell tensions, and building horizontally on that, a strong, robust, and stable leadership/administration. Examples they give include the Sri Lankan prejudice and unfair treatment of Tamil people for the former example, and the instability of the Congolese president Laurent Kabila for the latter example. In essence, what this means is bridging the divide by the administration and control, trying to find middle ground and including the opposing faction in positions of leadership with buy-in. No matter which administration wins out, this information is vital to adopt and implement lest we prove again how history will repeat itself. We need to be able to come together lest our country will continue to ripple and tear apart. And that begins with including the opposing ideas at a seat at the table. And that table to be on solid ground, aka a strong, thoughtful, stable administration. So where do we go from here? This topic is quite vast, and I am no Civil War expert, but I do enjoy reading and pay attention to history and trends. And should we not try and bridge our divides, then America will suffer. Currently, we are at a fracture wherein each side sees the other as a harbinger of the end. The symptoms of the other have settled in, and dehumanizing tactics are already taking root in the typical us versus them mentality. America has avoided a complete breakdown for many years due to the strength of our institutions and belief in their ability to work. Many countries have succumbed and lost their democracy. America's exceptionalism isn't exceptional enough to avoid a similar fate. If you agreed and enjoyed this video, share it on social media to help inform your friends and reach out to someone you would disagree with and start a dialogue. Simple moves like this can bridge our current divide and restore us. We are all in this together. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the first episode of Expose. Remember, if you want to see more content like this, you need to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell. It only takes a second, and look how many people are actually subscribed versus how many people watch my videos. Just do it really quick, it's free, and don't forget to smash like and leave a comment. Let's continue the conversation down below. My question of the day for you guys is, do you believe that we are heading towards a civil war? Why or why not? Can't wait to read your comments. I respond to all the comments, and I will see you guys for the next one.